It was bright that morning, the kind of Florida morning that feels almost too normal. Sunlight bouncing off driveways, palm trees barely moving in the heat, neighbors doing ordinary things. Nothing about May 26th, 1990 felt dangerous in Wellington, Florida. And that's what makes what happened next so disturbing. Because horror didn't arrive in the dark. It knocked. Inside her home in the Aero Club community, 40-year-old Marlene Warren was starting her day. She was a mother, a wife, living in what most people would call a comfortable life. Her husband, Michael Warren, owned car dealerships across South Florida. Money wasn't the problem, but appearances can be deceiving. Behind closed doors, the marriage wasn't stable. There were rumors, arguments, tension that friends quietly noticed but rarely spoke about directly. And there was another woman. Her name was Sheila Keene Warren. She worked at one of Michael's car lots. People described her as bold, flashy, someone who liked attention. And according to investigators, she and Michael were involved in an affair long before the murder. That detail wouldn't mean much yet, but would later mean everything. Around 11 a.m., there was a knock at the door. Marlene's son, Joe, was inside the house. Marlene walked toward the front entrance, and through the glass, she saw something strange. A clown. Not a party clown with kids around. Just one clown, standing alone. Orange wig, red bulb nose, white gloves, face paint. In one hand, flowers. In the other, two balloons. One balloon read, "You're the greatest." The other said, "Big thoughts." It must have looked absurd, maybe even funny. Maybe she thought someone was playing a prank. She opened the door, and in less than a second, everything changed. The clown handed her the flowers, then pulled out a handgun. One shot, point blank. The sound echoed inside the house. Marlene collapsed onto the floor. And here's the part that unsettles people the most. The clown didn't run, didn't panic, didn't scream, just calmly turned, walked back to a white Chrysler LeBaron parked nearby, and drove away. Like it was routine, like it was planned. Marlene was still breathing. Barely. She was rushed to a nearby hospital in West Palm Beach. Doctors worked. Family prayed. For 2 days, she clung to life. But on May 28th, 1990, she died. The story exploded across Florida. A clown assassin in broad daylight in a wealthy suburban neighborhood. It sounded fictional, but it wasn't. Detectives in Palm Beach County immediately began reconstructing what happened. Witnesses described the clown in detail. The white Chrysler LeBaron was located days later in a different county. Inside the car, investigators found orange fibers consistent with a clown wig. They also recovered strands of brown human hair. That car became critical, and almost immediately, attention shifted to Michael Warren. Because affairs create motive, and motive creates suspects. Investigators learned that he had been romantically involved with Sheila Keene Warren. Witnesses claimed Sheila had worn clown costumes before. One costume shop employee remembered selling a clown outfit to a woman who looked like her days before the murder. A balloon store employee recalled a similar customer. The puzzle pieces were forming a picture, but they didn't yet have the final piece. DNA technology in 1990 wasn't what it is today. There wasn't enough to make an arrest. And so, the case cooled. Time has a strange effect on murder cases. Memories fade. Witnesses move. Evidence sits in boxes. But the story never fully disappeared in Wellington. People remembered, because you don't forget a clown at a murder scene. In 2002, 12 years after Marlene's death, something happened that reignited suspicion. Michael Warren married Sheila Keene Warren. The woman long suspected in his wife's death became his wife. They moved to Abingdon, Virginia, and for years, they lived quietly. Meanwhile, forensic science was advancing. Cold case units across the country were reopening old evidence with new DNA methods. And detectives in Palm Beach County decided to revisit the clown murder. The brown hair found inside the abandoned Chrysler LeBaron was retested using modern DNA analysis. This time, it produced a usable profile, and it matched. It matched Sheila Keenwarren. 27 years later, science spoke. In September 2017, U.S. Marshals arrested Sheila in Abingdon, Virginia. The image stunned people. The woman once suspected, now in handcuffs, extradited back to Florida, charged with first-degree murder. She pleaded not guilty. Her defense argued the case was circumstantial, that memories from decades ago were unreliable, that assumptions had replaced proof. But prosecutors had motive, opportunity, witness testimony, and now DNA placing her inside the getaway car. Here's something unsettling. Why a clown? Think about it. Clowns are exaggerated, unreal, almost cartoonish. If you see a clown in a suburban neighborhood, your brain hesitates. It doesn't immediately register danger. It registers confusion, and confusion buys time. That costume wasn't random. It was strategy. It created a surreal moment that witnesses would replay in their heads, unsure of what they had just seen. Was it a prank? A joke? No. It was a disguise designed to distort memory. And for decades, it worked. The trial was scheduled for 2023, more than 3 decades after the murder. But before opening arguments began, a plea agreement was reached. In April 2023, Sheila Keenwarren pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. She received a 12-year prison sentence, with credit for time already served. Some felt the sentence was light. Others felt relief that the case was finally resolved. After 33 years, the clown killer was officially convicted. It isn't just the murder. It's the image. A sunny morning, a door opening, flowers and balloons, and then a gunshot. There's something deeply unsettling about violence wrapped in celebration, about a symbol of childhood joy being used as camouflage for calculated killing. This wasn't chaos. It wasn't rage in the moment. It appeared deliberate, measured, personal. Behind headlines and documentaries was a family, a son who watched his mother fall, a community shaken by how easily normalcy shattered. True crime often focuses on the killer, but at the center of this story is Marlene Warren, a woman who opened her door on what she believed was an ordinary Saturday. She didn't know she was stepping into a plan that had been carefully arranged. She didn't know that the person behind the makeup had already decided her fate. 33 years is a long time, long enough for people to assume a case will never be solved. But evidence waits. Technology improves. And sometimes justice moves slowly. When the plea was entered in 2023, it closed a chapter that had haunted Wellington since 1990. The clown, the balloons, the single gunshot, no longer a mystery, now a conviction. Some crimes terrify because they are random. Others terrify because they are calculated. This one lingers because it combined both fear and absurdity. A clown costume, a suburban porch, a calm walk back to a car, and a life taken in seconds. The image feels unreal, but it happened. And sometimes the most chilling stories are the ones that began on perfectly normal mornings.